Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. My name is Sergey and I'm the owner of Sergey Green Studio. We provide photography and videography services here in Los Angeles. And in today's video, I wanted to talk with you about the first look, how to photograph first look specifically. We're going to be talking about the location, about the pose and equipment, and a few other things. So let's just go step by step. But before we're actually going to go there, I want to talk briefly why would we want to do the first look? Because sometimes couple would be hesitating whether they want to do that or not. And if you feel like that, you want to step up and convince them to do that. Because, I mean, some of the couple would say right away, like, no, we 100% we don't want to do that. So if that's the case, do not push further. But if they hesitating, explain them that there is tons of benefits on doing that. First of all, you're going to save tons of time. So simply imagine the timeline. And there's a separate video I'm going to link it somewhere here or in the description below, where I'm talking about the differences in the timeline, whether you're doing the first look or not. But briefly, imagine you have the ceremony like around 5 p.m. And if you don't have the first look, you're going to lose pretty much all the time before the ceremony itself, because if they're not seeing each other, you cannot do the portrait sessions, you cannot do the wedding party, you cannot do a few other things. Naturally, just because they cannot see each other, because they're not standing next to each other. And also, if they set up the ceremony at 5, it's probably going to start like at 5:30, it's going to end like at 6, and the sunset 7:30. So you basically have hour and a half to do all of the photos. You will have to squeeze them all there. But instead of doing that, what you can do the first look somewhere around noon, and just very comfortably in a relaxed manner to do all of the photos that I just mentioned. That's just briefly. Again, watch the other video where I'm explaining that in all of the details. But if your couple choose to do the first look, let me talk you through on how to actually do that. Well, first of all, you want to choose the right location for your first look. And the key point here is privacy and the light. Usually you do your first look somewhere around. You're not doing this in a perfect lighting scenario, like somewhere closer to the sunset. You're doing this when the light is right on the top and the shadow is pretty horrible outside. So you will have to find a place that has the very nice shade covering both the bride and the groom and the path they walk in, actually. Also, you want to have relatively simple background out there. You want the focus to be on the emotions itself, not on the background. And the light, you cannot really control the light, so you will have to take care of this first. And also, you want to make sure that this place is private, or the setup itself is pretty private for the bride and groom. This part you can actually control, because you can move people away. You cannot move the light around, but you can move the people away, and you can ask them to step somewhere there. Because usually if you ask your bride and groom about it, they would politely say like, yeah, we don't mind our guests to be there. But they usually do, because put yourself in their shoes. They see each other for the first time as the bride and the groom, right? They see each other for the first time as the husband and wife. That's pretty big moment. Even if they see each other every day for the last like 10 years, that's the first time when they see each other as the bride and the groom. It's big. So you want to make sure that there is only 2 of them out there in this specific location. So for example, in the hotel or at the golf course somewhere, it's going to be a balcony or something like that. And if you're shooting at the outside, you want this place to be covered with trees or something similar. Second thing you want to take care of, and you want to be on top of that, It's the guidance and the poses itself. You want to explain to the bride and to the groom specifically what you're going to do. And also, based on what I told you previously, keep in mind that they're going to nervous, like naturally. They are about to see each other again in the new roles. They're going to nervous. So try to explain it in as simple as possible. Do not say like, oh, you're gonna walk towards him, you're gonna tap him on the left shoulder. She's just going to nervous and she will forget where's the right, where's the left. Explain specifically, you're going to tap him in this shoulder, like turn back to her and show the shoulder that she's going to tap. Same to the groom. Do not tell him like, oh, you're going to turn to the left 90 degrees, 90 to 180, 360. Who cares? Like, tell him specifically you're going to turn that way towards this door, not pass it. You want to explain why it's important, because you as a photographer are not going to see his emotion if he's going to stand in back to you. But again, make it in a very simple manner. Because from my experience, people going to start nervous and just going to miss your guidance over here. And also, just smile, just be relaxed, just charge them with your calm energy, make them a little bit calmer in this specific case, and just make it fun and an enjoyable experience by itself. And also make sure that they're not nervous too much, and tell them something calming like, okay, see if something gonna goes wrong or something like that, or not by the plan, it's all yours, it's your emotion, and if needed, we can always repeat it, so don't worry, do your best. That's a part of the posing too. Next, let's talk about the equipment over here. And I'm gonna talk about how to use the camera, this kind of things in the next videos, or what mode to choose, whether you want to go in full manual, as many photographers prefer, or as me, for example, I'm shooting 90% of the time in AV. That's my personal preference, and especially with the new cameras that measure the light actually so good. The main question over here actually going to be not about the camera itself, is going to be about your lenses. Of course, it would be preferred if you're shooting with the zoom lenses over here. 24-70 would be your lens to go. But I personally prefer to shoot it with prime lenses, just because I prefer much wider f-stops. Like I prefer f to 1.8, something like that. And I would have 55 millimeters on one camera, and I would have 35 millimeter lens on the other camera. But it's really up to you, whatever you prefer in that case. The next question is whether you should shoot it with two photographers or with one photographer. It's going to depend on your specific case, on your timeline. Let me explain. First of all, let's talk actually about the location. For example, you're shooting the first look in the hotel somewhere or at the golf course. And 90% of the time, you're going to choose to shoot it on the balcony that covered, and you're going to have a very nice shade. So in that specific case, you're not going to have too much room. And then if you have the videographer as well, so basically you are about to have two photographers, two videographers, plus bride and a groom on a small balcony. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have that much crowd around. First of all, you're going to be in each other's frames. Second, it's just going to make the bride and the groom nervous. So in that specific case, I would rather make a decision and ask my second shooter and second videographer to go and do the details, or maybe candid shots of the wedding party or something like that. And I would make this first look by myself. It's not a complicated thing. You can absolutely easily do it by yourself. On the opposite side, if you are on an outdoor venue and if you have plenty of space around and you can place your second shooter with the 70 to 200 lens somewhere on the side to do the wide shot or the close-up shot from the side, you can go ahead and do that. And if the timeline, of course, is allow you to do that, you can do that as well. Same for the video. If the place allowed you to do that, go ahead and do that. But it's not a big issue, and I will explain you why later, actually. Second thing is, of course, the action. You did all of this preparation, you choose the location, you explain the poses, you comfort them and everything. Now it's time to go for an action. And what I want you to do here, I want you to let them live the moment. Do not overguide them or anything like that. Just go ahead with your camera, just shoot it with the camera and just smile, make them relax. Let them live the moment. Let this emotion to appear. Let them smile. Let them cry. Let them do all of that. Do not guide them. Do not tell them what to do. And I mean, of course, depending on the couple, probably by now you already did your engagement photo shoot. You know how relaxed they are and all of this. But most of the time, I would ask you to let them be in the moment, give them space, let them talk with each other, let them observe each other, let them see each other in the new roles, and be present. Be present by yourself. Look specifically for that emotions, for tears, for the movements of their hands on each other's faces. Look for all of that and capture all of that, because his hands on her waist or something like that can be very special. Like, just go for this little moments here and there and absorb as much as possible. You want to be a photojournalist in this specific situation. And after you did that, I want you to repeat the first look. It might sound pretty strange, like what is it, second look or something like that? It's actually absolutely normal practice. And no one ever told me like, oh, we don't want to do that second time. Everybody's absolutely happy with this. And what you can do on the second time, and especially useful if you do it by yourself, you want to get the different angles, or you want this time to focus on the emotions of the groom or the bride, whichever you focus more when you were doing this for the first time. So you just want to get the different shots over here, or maybe you want to stand from the back, actually, because for the first time you stand on the front, so like facing the groom. Now you can stand back to the groom and back to the bride and see his emotions from the different angles. So do not be afraid to ask them to repeat this first look all over again. They're gonna be apt to that. Next thing I want you to consider, and again, most of the couples going to be into that, I want you to consider to do the first look with the rest of the people, not everyone. What do I mean over here? You want to do the first look of the bride with the bridesmaids. That's very cool shot. Like always, it's always looks absolutely amazing. You might do the first look of the groom with the groomsmen. That's pretty cool too. You want to do the first look of the bride with her father. That is always incredibly emotional. And the fathers, I mean, to see their girl in a wedding dress, that's big. That's very big. And they're going to be into that, and they would truly appreciate the moment. They lived enough to appreciate this moment, and they're going to appreciate you organizing that. You might want to do the first look of the groom and his mother. So you want to do all of that. And it's actually going to go pretty fast because you already chose the location. You already tell them what to do. It's going to be actually very, very fast, like 2-3 minutes for each first look. So you want to do that as well. And the next and the last thing that you want to do after you've done all of that, not actually all of that, right after you finish the first look of the bride and the groom, you want to transition it to the portrait session. Again, I mentioned their emotions, how emotional they are going to be and how true with emotions they're going to be in front of each other. So you want to transition that into the portrait session. But instead of guiding them as you would do on your sunset photos, again, I want you to just absorb the moment and guide them very lightly. You might ask them to walk from one place to another. You might ask them to have certain poses or just hold each other's hands or something like that, or a kiss or something like that. But do not guide them too much. Let them be in the frame, let them be in the moment, and extend that into the session. Give them 15 minutes, maybe. It's their time, it's their wedding, maybe a little bit more. Do the wide shots, do the close-up shots, go further away. So experiment here and there, but make sure you have this 20 probably a little bit too much, but 15 minutes would be ideal. Make sure you transition in the first look into the portrait session of the bride and the groom. And I think that's pretty much it for the first look. If you're going to go through all of these steps, you're going to have absolutely amazing photos in the videos if you have the videographer there on site. All of the posing, by the way, going to be on you, not on the videographer. I mean, at least in my specific case. But if you're going to go through all of the steps, you're going to have absolutely amazing photos. You're going to capture all of the moments. And again, if you miss something, don't be afraid to acknowledge that and ask them to do this one more time. Instead of missing this shot completely, it's not going to ruin your karma if you're going to ask them to do certain things. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know if you're going to have any other questions in the comment. I'll be glad to answer them. Or if you want to shoot me a DM on Instagram or email, feel free to do that as well. Thank you again, guys, so much for watching. And I'll see you in the next video. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about the ceremony itself. See you in the next one.